Hello, my name is Sol Ape and I am sitting president of Polish Parafel University, and in this video I'm going to cover the new iteration of the PTR from the Pala rifle player perspective and with a little bit comment from myself. You probably saw this issue, this subject covered on other streams like Grabby Back to Warcraft, but I will try to give this unique Pala rifle experience, so stay with me. And also I prepared it in this nice form of an Excel sheet, so we won't miss anything. Uh, and starting by human, polymorph can now target heroes, and it used to be 3 seconds, and now it's 1.5 seconds. And is it above? Yes, it's still above for human, even though it was reduced, because it's a new thing. And is it good for Pala Rifle? It is not good for Pala Rifle. And one comment is that polymorph is really good on units, because duration on units is 1 minute, 60 seconds. And like the strategy for mass polymorph just to hex the hero for that long, to polymorph the hero for that long, I think is not going to be viable, especially if you can cast it on units. And in the late game, your opponent should have a lot of strong units, and I really don't see this changing a game in any shape or form. Two changes about Sundering Blaze. This is the upgrade that Knight has that gives Knight 10% more damage versus medium armor only, so versus rifles, versus archers, versus headhunters, versus fiends, for example. And there were two nerfs. And in the green color, I'm showing that is a good change for Pala Rifle. And you may say, Sol, but you are playing human yourself. Yes, but I play Pali Rifle. And when I play Pali Rifle in Human Mirror, usually the danger, the finisher from the human that went Archmage Footman Expo are knights. And now human will have to spend additional resources, and it's actually a lot: 100 gold, 175 wood. So and they have to also research the HP buff tonight. So, and in some matchups, like in Human Mirror, when they both play they both play a lot of knights, I think this human may skip this upgrade at all. And the weirdest change ever, the saddest change ever: knights and surrounding blades no longer require lumber mill to build. And this is so weird, because in order to be able to afford knights in the late game, especially with those new upgrade 175 wood surrounding blades, you really need to have a healthy, efficient wood lumber economy. And lumber mill helps with that, because it makes distance from forest to the base shorter. So this is not changing anything. And like, how often do you lose lumber mill? In human base, you have much more important buildings. So in my opinion, yes, this is a buff, but this is really small buff. Is it going to help Pala Rifle? Maybe, but let's just remove this. Okay, that's my advice. And last but not least, Arcane Tower hero feedback reduced from 16 to 14. So when Arcane Tower, the feedback ability is attacking enemy hero, every hit will burn mana as well and add damage on top of that, very similar to Breaker ability. And for Pala Rifle is bad, but this is a small nerf. This is a small nerf, because usually when your opponent goes in to like lame you hard, you will burn all of the mana, but you will do it quicker, of course. But usually, if you won't react, your peasants are dead anyway. And it will mostly nerfing those clutch situations when you have tower in front, like I like to have with my Pali rifle, and like it will burn a little bit less mana. But is it good? Is it bad? It is not game breaking for Para rifle, but this is weird to see this change implemented. Next, we have Orc, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see, 3 different changes for Taurens. And first of all, there is a huge, why is in red? Because it's dangerous for Para Rifle players. Tauren are now available at tier 2. pulverized still requires tier 3. So is it a buff? Yes, this is a buff and is good for pala rifle. Oh no, your pala rifles are very scared of normal damage that the Tauren deals. And maybe pala rifle has to do a very sharp timing, or pala rifle should avoid fighting until tier 3 and just go Gryphons. Who knows? But yeah, we will see. We will see. But this is a crazy change, and Warcraft needs crazy changes. But let's hope it won't break the meta. And in order to not break the meta, there were 2 nerfs to Taurens. So the build time was increased, like reverted, because in the previous patch it was reduced by 5 seconds. So even though you can make Taurens on tier 2, they come out faster. And the pulverized damage reduced from 20 to 15 is a like 20%, I think, 25% damage reduction, which is like making them weaker. So it's balanced around tier 2. And also I think that Headhunter got nerfed as well, just to weaken the ability of Orc to go Farseer Headhunter, let's say Creep, Harass, and on tier 2 add 2 Taurens, let's say, in front to tank, to deal damage versus anti-Headhunter unit, and then push, and then be very strong on tier 2. And it's not nerfing Berserker damage, so if you upgrade your Headhunters, Berserker should have the same damage range. So it's not a nerf for tier 3, it's nerf for tier 2 in my opinion. And last but not least, or maybe actually least, because healing words mana cost reduced from 200 to 150, and it's a nice change, but witch doctors are not playable in solo. They are strong in team games. And is it a buff? Yes, but is it good for pala rifle? No. And yes, very bad change for pali rifle players, but exciting change for game in general. So I hope that Blizzard will be able to not break a game with this. And ladies and gentlemen, very interesting changes for the Night Elf. We have 4 different changes for Priestess of the Moon. First one is buffing damage of every searing arrow, this like fire ability of Potom. And as we can see on level 1, they buffed it by 2 points of damage. And this is the original text, by the way. I'm not but it's written in a weird form, but the conclusion is that it will deal 12 on level 1, 24 on level 3, level 2 skill, and 48 on level 5. 48 is quite huge, and this is forcing Night Elf basically to play solo Potom with a lot of right click potential, with a lot of damage. So this is funny to see. And as a power rifle players, we are not afraid of it. We can out heal it. We can go Divine Shield or Paladin. So I'm not afraid of right clicks. But for the other, like for the Night Elf mirror, it will be interesting to see. And it is buffing those troll strategies, especially because mana was reduced and by a big percentage. So it's also cheaper to cast Searing Arrows. So Potom can deal much more damage in the game because it will cost less mana. So it will be interesting to see. And what is also fascinating about this skill is that on level 3 it gets plus 100 range, so it's easier to target. So like bottom level 3 is actually getting quite strong, and it may be good as all-in versus, I don't know, human that is expanding. Gladly we are not expanding on Polish Power Rifle University. And Priestess of the Moon, Starfall duration reduced from 45 to 30. So yeah, it helps Power Rifle a little bit, but it looks like a big nerf. But in my opinion, if you stay in Starfall for 45 or 30 seconds, you are already done. You already became a dust. So there is nothing to save, especially when we have another change to the Starfall, the Priestess of the Moon ability, that it deals more damage per wave. So if you won't stop it early, I think everything will be destroyed. So this is actually a buff to Starfall. This is a buff to Starfall, in my opinion, even if the total damage is less, but what you care about is to have enough damage to destroy like enemy army, and army won't stay in full 30 seconds in the Starfall. Next change, and this is actually a little bit dangerous for Pala Rifle. Keeper of the Groove, Force of Nature mana cost reduced from 100 to 85, and this is quite a big change. So spawning Treants is much cheaper now for the Keeper of the Groove, and it's an intensive to play Keeper, like not only Demon Hunter, not only Potom, and we will see, we like hero diversity. Of course, Keeper is mostly dangerous for the Entangle, but now he can Entangle on level 1, on level 2 he can Entangle, he can spawn Treants cheaper, so like level 2 Keeper is not that bad. So maybe it's like won't require you to just rush level 3. We will see. Vorpal Blades research time reduced from 60 to 45 of seconds, and this upgrade for for glaives, and it's funny because it's upgrading projectile speed to 2000, and for the comparison, like headhunters attacks like projectile speed, so the time, like in-game units time speed of like the spear going to hit the target is like 1200, 1200. Rifles is 1800 if I'm correct, and now now after this upgrade, glaives can shoot at 2000, so very fast, much faster than morts, I think. But it doesn't matter because glaives are so bad, and maybe this research time will help a little bit. But I'm not rating this change like in the para rifle category because they are no glaives in versus para rifle. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a big red thing. So Moonwell regeneration increased from 1.35 to 1.45. It's like per second. So the pace of Moonwell regenerating the moon juice that you can use for healing. And it used to be 1.5. Then in the last patch, it was nerfed to 1.35. And the Night Elves were furious about it. And Elf actually started maybe underperforming. So Wizard decided to like buff Night Elf in every matchup, and man, killing Demon Hunter was hard enough in this patch, and now it will be much harder. But the late game potential of Night Elf was nerfed a little bit. It's then Wellspring is the upgrade that you give Moonwells. So they can store more moon juice. So like you fight outside of your base and then you TP back and you use all the moon wells. And if the moon wells were full, now they will have more juice in them. So there were some crazy games like in the late game, like Night Elf was out healing, out valuing humans, for example, maybe even undead because of this upgrade. Basically, the longer games goes, the better for the Night Elf, and now it was reduced by a little bit. So it's an interesting to see that they try to buff Moonwells but remove the late game potential. But for Pala Rifle, it doesn't really matter because we are pushing really hard before any Wellspring upgrade, in my opinion. And now, quite a welcome change by Polish Parafel University. Mountain Giant food reduction reverted. So there is no change basically. In the life patch, Mountain Giants cost 7 food, and there was a proposition to change it to 6 food, but in the second iteration of PTR, it was reversed. And I think, is it good change? Is it bad change? I don't know for the meta, but MGs can be quite oppressive versus piercing damage, and this is what rifles are dealing. And ladies and gentlemen, so from Orc, from Night Elf, we have some red color for Polish Parafel University, but now for Undead we have double green and double intensive green. Oh baby. Ghoul Frenzy attack speed bonus reduced from 45 to 30. So ghouls are having a little bit less DPS after Frenzy. And man, like mass ghouls can destroy Pala Rifle with Frenzy, of course. So that's a welcome chance. But what is also important, especially for Pala Rifle players, Ghoul Frenzy research time increased from 45 to 16 seconds. And this is great for scenarios when you are trying to push Undead Expo and Undead is waiting for Ghoul Frenzy. I had so many games like that. And this is making your push or window bigger, and you can maybe deal some more damage before they have frenzy. So actually those two changes are great for Pala Rifle, and well, this is a nerf to Undead. Let's go next. Curse can now target mechanical units, and of course is to counter tanks that human Archmage Footman Expo plays sometimes, like Fortitude style, but on Polish Rifle University there is no tanks, and we are actually going to benefit from it because Blizzard thought, okay, now Banshees can target tanks, but the curse duration is so long on units, it's 120 seconds, and they reduce it by half. So now it's only 60 seconds on units, and sometimes my opponent plays Banshee in the late game versus Pali Rifle, usually one base, to use anti-shell, anti-magic shell, and sometimes my units are getting cursed. So this is a small buff that we are getting, the Pala Rifle players. So the nerf to curse is a small buff for Pala Rifle, but man, this is not as intense as Ghoul Frenzy. Creeper now can target mechanical units. Like, this is useless. With all due respect, you won't see any cripple on any mechanical units. I have bad news for you if you are watching competitive Warcraft. In my opinion, it's not going to happen. And of course, very interesting change. Scroll of Healing removed from Tomb of Relics. So the good old scroll was removed, and like like there was this like you need to fight for shop anyway, but if you won't be able to fight for shop as an undead, the goblin shop, the yellow shop, now you cannot just buy a scroll in your own shop, but it's a late game thing. So for Pala Rifle it doesn't change that much in my opinion, because usually if you are pushing expansion, the shop is already dead there because it's like a primary target, and you're just scared about mass ghouls, and others is just going to produce ghouls anyway because you are single targeting ghouls. So the scroll is like not that great. Scroll is great in like huge fights versus some AoE. So for Pala Rifle, this is small nerf, nothing major, and Wand of Negation added to the Tomb of Relics, and now this item is a chargeable item, consumable item with 2 charges, and it costs 150 gold, and it's available on tier 2 to replace basically Scroll of Healing. And is it buff for undead? Well, this is a nerf for undead, and this is good for Pala Rifle. Okay, a little bit. So yeah. But Wand of Negation, like, there is nothing to dispel versus human army. Of course, you can try to dispel a banish. You can try to dispel banish, but banish doesn't last that long on heroes, and you are trying to save your hero with banish if it's, let's say, surrounded by ghouls. Like, in order to target the item, it takes some seconds. So it's like, it's not that good. It's great versus summons. It's great, I don't know, I'm kidding, versus polymorph on units. Like, you have 3 fiends in the polymorph form from Sorg, and then you dispel it with like 1 charge, all of this mana that was spent by Sorgs, and yeah, you have your fiends back instead waiting 1 minute. But I don't see it in like being very useful versus a Pali Rifle. Maybe versus like Water Elemental Harass, you can like try to dispel 2 Water Elementals with 1 charge to defend at tier 2. And what is funny, that this item kills Book of the Dead, the strong item that spawns you 3 skeleton warriors and 3 skeleton archers, because undead can just dispel it, ladies and gentlemen. Mid-wagon speed increase from 220 to 240. Nothing changed here, and it won't change anything in my opinion. And now, nerf to Nova, and you may say, Soul, should you celebrate nerf to Nova? Not really, because look how small the nerf is. So Frost Nova slow duration reduced from 468 to 456. So on level 1, it doesn't change anything. Your unit will be slowed, and it's not slowing down heroes, only like normal units. So for example, rifles. So on level 3, Leech, when it's casting Nova on my rifles, I have I have 1 second less of slow effects. So maybe I'll be able to run away with the rifleman. But Nova is usually the finisher. Nova is usually guaranteeing the kill. So this change is not that big. I would see like the big change would be like to change it to, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, then would be huge, cut it by half, but this doesn't change much in my opinion. Small buff to Impale. Krypton Impale mana cost reduced from 100 to 90, and yes, Impale is, Criplord in general is very rarely played, it basically helps Crippler to spawn more beaters while having enough mana to do one Impale surround, I guess. But it's not nothing major, very small change. Death and Decay mana cost reduced from 250 to 200. These are the Leech Ultimate, and no one really plays Leech Ultimate. Leech level 6 is Omega Rare, so just don't worry about these guys. Web upgrade cost reduced from 150 to 150 to 100 100, and web like recently added was lamed a lot by wyverns, and it will help to invest like that. Investing into web is not too costly, so if your opponent is not doing air anymore, it's not like that bad that you research web, I don't know, for 2 air units, because sometimes orc will switch to raiders. But yes, I like this change a little bit for the undead. And now we have 2 buffs to frostworms, so they are making the frostworm freezing breath a little bit cheaper, and they are making boneyard cost reduction. So I think this change won't bring any frostworms to solo, and well, they require much more love to be viable in solo, and probably you will break something with making them viable in solo. So that's it's nice to see we are missing those big strong units in solo. But yes, 4v4 players that likes to mass frostworm, they will be very happy, because in 4v4 sometimes you bank a lot of gold on expo and wood, of course, and then you make 4 boneyards. So they are going to save a lot. Nerubian Tower, maybe not a lot, because this buff is very small, right? So not that much. Okay, and last but not least, very interesting change. Nerubian Tower damage type changed from melee to piercing, and Nerubian Tower was like usually every tower of Warcraft 3 or a burrow, they have piercing damage. Okay? And piercing damage is very good versus unarmored units, so for example versus hunt, and versus light armor units, which is almost every flying unit. But for some reason, Nerubian Tower damage used to be melee, so like a footman damage type, a ghoul damage type, and melee is good like versus range units, range ground units, for like it was good versus archers, headhunters, and of course the damage is really small, but also melee damage type is good versus heroes, and piercing is bad versus heroes. So this change, because it's changing to piercing, will help versus air, but it will make like tower rush a little bit worse for undead, because like undead cannot longer tower rush, I don't know, Nidelf that easy. That because like Nerubian Tower damage is good versus archers, is good versus heroes, as I said, so they can target like warden archer, with it. And now piercing this much more damage, piercing this much less damage. And actually, for parry rifle, this is this is a very rare occasion that we have buff for undead and buff for parry rifle at the same time, because I have very resistant units to piercing damage, because rifles are taking less damage from piercing, and heroes as well. So it will save me some HP during the push at the expo, but very marginal amount. But this is something to take into consideration. This is funny to see. Okay, last but maybe not last, but now all races are covered, and now we are going into neutral heroes. And first, Fire Lord. So Fire Lord Volcano building damage factor reduced from 3 to 2, and this is basically nerfing this solo Fire Lord meme strategy when you went solo Fire Lord to get ultimate Volcano and cast this powerful eruption in your opponent base to destroy a lot of buildings. And now it will destroy much less buildings. And we don't care about with Pala Rifle because it's so rare. But what we do care is Firebolt Soulburn. And Soulburn is this ability that Firebolt can cast on hero, and hero will deal much less damage. But what is even worse, Soulburn duration is increased, and hero cannot cast any spells while under Soulburn effect. And it's buffing Soulburn on level 1, so it's like 8 seconds silence with also damage mitigation. And I had some games when at tier 3 my opponent was adding Firebolt level 1 to basically silence my paladin, to deny me the healing possibility, silence my blood mage. So this is a small but still nerf to Pali Rifle and buff to Fire Lord, so it's making Fire Lord as a third hero, for example for Denied Elf mostly, maybe even for Orc, as an option to handle Pala Rifle in the late game, because it's a late game thing for Pala Rifle, and for Fire Lord first, it doesn't really matter because in order to creep the Fire Lord, you need to spawn the lava spawns. Two changes about Naga Sewage. Naga Sewage mana shield activation cost reduced from 25 to 10, and this ability is very rare. Me personally, I had some fun with Naga solo, so I like this ability, but with Pala Rifle, we never play Naga. And when I play versus Naga on ladder, for example, versus DH Naga combo from Night Elf, Night Elf always goes for Frost Arrow and Frost for this Fork of Lightning. So I haven't seen a single mana shield in a long, long time. And what is also I never seen this Naga ultimate in this season, and I played so many games. So buffing Naga ultimate is cool, but going solo Naga level 6 is not going to happen. Sorry. Two changes to items and fun change about Ankh. Ankh with H at the end of reincarnation. Delay reduced from 7 seconds to 5 seconds. And what is funny, I had one game that my hero died with Ankh, and I forgot that my hero had Ankh because the hero was dead for so long time, and I didn't see it in the heat of battle. And basically, I forgot, and I was starting to run away with my army. And to my surprise, Hero Dot arrived on the minimap, and it was my hero that I forgot about, basically. So yes, 7 seconds is quite long in the Warcraft 3 time. So 5 seconds, it's cool to see, and is it above in general? Yes, it's good for Polar Rifle. Yes, because like sometimes we create big consumables with Polar Rifle, and yes, I would like to have my hero back faster. And but it's not something huge because it's symmetrical. It's also good for your opponents. Gloves of haste attack speed increase from 15% to 20%, and this is actually bad for Pala Rifle. This is a buff for item, but Pala Rifle is always selling like damage items because Blood Mage job is only to siphon mana, always. So Blood Mage is attacking very rarely, and in the late game, Paladin also should be like kept safely, and damage from Paladin is like Paladin should heal a lot, Paladin should reposition a lot to not get focused. So Paladin damage is not that important. And this item is good for Demon Hunter, for Blade Master, for Archmage, for Farseer. Every unit, the hero that is going to right click you, and it gives some DPS buff. So this is a small nerf for Pala Rifle, but nothing major because, yes, those player races, those heroes are not going to sell the item, and they are going to use the buff to apply more damage. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, some changes to the creeps. And I have bittersweet news, okay? It's a little bit boring, but we have one very interesting change, okay? Let's put it in orange, because orange is like for me an interesting color. So and there is a unit called Dark Troll High Priest, and he has ability called Sleep. And you don't see him in solo. Like there is no like this. I saw this mob in like on a free map. So basically, this is not Dreadlord Sleep. This different sleep that only some creeps can cast. One of them is Dark Troll High Priest. And first of all, they changed those ability of the creep. So sleep can no longer target heroes. Sleep duration reduced from 10 to 8, and sleep cooldown increased from 6 to 10 seconds. So it's a nerf basically for sleep. So it's less annoying while creeping, and the cost is reduced a little bit by mana. So small buff to the creep, to the sleep. And you can say, okay, soul, but you don't see this mob in solo. Okay, and now they even gave him abolish magic, and suddenly this is not this frozen winter troll priest from like springtime map. So like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But what it does matter. Okay, so skipping row 61 for a moment, Rogue Wizard can now sleep, and Rogue Wizard is like this level 3, the smaller wizard that can cast Frost Armor. He can also cast Sleep now, so and he's present like on Autumn Leaves, Green Camp. He's present on Shallow Grave, on the Lab, and probably some other locations. And now, won't be surprised, guys, if you are going to creep something, a very small camp usually, and one of your units, not heroes like Rifleman, Archer, Headhunter, will be under sleep, and you have to attack it once in order to make it useful again. So yeah, this is funny, but yeah, it's nothing major. So please don't be surprised by it. And going back to previous row, Enforcer and Bandit Lord no longer have Shadow Melt and will sleep at night. Bandit Lord is a very, very powerful very powerful creep, and he's not present in the solo map pool, but Enforcer is present. And like but he the problem with that is that Enforcer, okay, he will sleep at night, but in current map pool there is no like big shop, because if you want to access a shop, and shop is, let's say, guarded by Rock Golem, you cannot access the shop during the night, because Rock Golem doesn't sleep, and Rock Golem will welcome you with this boulder hurl, the spell with the boulder damage. And like there is no enforcer that is guarding any shop basically, so it won't change much. Maybe you will be a little bit less surprised in some creep camps in night, because you are going to creep a camp and you forgot that enforcer was there, and there is one additional monster to creep. But this is very, very small, and in the current map pool doesn't matter. But they are buffing enforcer HP by 100. So it makes some camps a little bit harder, but only a little bit. So keep it in mind. And man, rune of speed duration reduced from 60 to 20 seconds. I never saw in my entire life rune of speed. And I don't know, maybe it's an intensive for my map makers to add rune of speed. It's basically you creep a camp and there is no item. Or maybe there is an item, but there is also a rune, and you click on a rune and you move faster, like a speed scroll basically for 20 seconds. So maybe it's like, hey, map makers, please add it on some maps, but in the current map pool, no rune of speed, no rune of healing, there is no runes basically. And now three very weird changes, like omega weird changes, and I have spent some time in word editor even to research those scripts, because they are so rare, like never seen in solo, I think. So internal contraption move speed increased, and this is a level 5 mechanical unit with no special abilities, like and it's not even a ballista, it's like mechanical rifleman, mechanical archer, and they are just changing movement speed, which is omega weird because it changes nothing. And okay, this is present on 4v4 maps. Okay, Infernal Juggernaut. Again, move speed buff. And you may say, Soul, what is Infernal Juggernaut? It's like super strong level 10 machine that can spawn Infernals like Dreadlord. And this monster is not going to show in solo. And this is so powerful, this is so strong in general. And movement speed nerf buff is not going to change anything. Like, you are not going to control this unit yourself because like having Dreadlord level 6. So this is so weird to see. And last but not least, Infernal Machine move speed increased from 180 to 200, and it was first time I even saw what Infernal Machine is. It's like level 8 machine mechanical unit that can cast Breath of Fire similar to Panda, and in my gaming career I never saw this creep. So it's weird they are addressing it, and I think it won't going to change anything. And from the creeps changes, we have only Roach Wizard change that is funny, that can sleep your units, but yeah, nothing very interesting here. And it was it, ladies and gentlemen. So in Human Mirror, you are a little bit less afraid of knights, so in Human Mirror for Polar Rifle net benefit. Versus Orc, you are really scared of Taurens, but we'll see. Orc has many different dangerous things in their arsenal. So I would say that I'm not that afraid of Orc. Maybe I should be, but I'm not yet. And big change for Night Elf, big buff. So we are more afraid of Night Elves, our rifle players. And we are going to celebrate Ghoul Frenzy nerf for the Undead because it really makes our push easier. And neutral heroes are not going to be very impactful. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was Soul ApeMan. Thank you for listening to this review. And if the new PTR hits, I will tell you what changed. Bye bye.